Today's meditation we will read from Numbers chapter 17, verses 1 to 13. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel, and get from them staffs, one for each father's house, from all their chiefs, according to their father's houses, 12 staffs. Write each man's name on his staff, and write Aaron's name on the staff of Levi. For there shall be one staff for the head of each father's house. Then you shall deposit them in the tent of meeting before the testimony, where I meet with you. And the staff of the man whom I choose shall sprout. Thus I will make to cease from me the grumblings of the people of Israel, which they grumble against you." Moses spoke to the people of Israel, and all their chiefs gave him stars, one for each chief, according to their father's houses, 12 staffs. And the staff of Aaron was among their staffs. And Moses deposited the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the testimony. On the next day, Moses went into the tent of the testimony, and behold, the staff of Aaron for the house of Levi had sprouted and put forth buds and produced blossoms and bore ripe almonds. Then Moses brought out all the staffs from before the Lord to all the people of Israel. And they looked, and each man took his staff. The Lord said to Moses, "Put back the staff of Aaron before the testimony, to be kept as a sign for the rebels, that you may make an end of their grumblings against me, lest they die." Thus did Moses, as the Lord commanded him, so he did. And the people of Israel said to Moses, "Behold, we perish, we are undone, we are all undone. Everyone who comes near to the tabernacle of the Lord shall die. Are we all to perish?" The first national census of Israel was taken on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they had come out of the land of Egypt. The Lord told Moses and Aaron to take leaders from each tribe to assist them in their work. In that list, there was none from the tribe of Levi. The tribe of Levi were called to be priests under the law of Moses. Because of this calling, they lived scattered among all the other tribes and were not counted in the same way. Israel was generally considered to have 12 tribes plus the Levites. Every other tribe knew who their chief was, and for the tribe of Levi, it was obviously the high priest. Probably this was one of the reasons why Korah in his rebellion said, "You have gone too far, for all in the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourself above the assembly of the Lord?" The Lord wanted to set the record straight. The Lord asked them to bring 12 staffs according to the number of the sons of Jacob, with the name of the chief of each tribe inscribed on the tribe's staff. On the staff of Levi, he asked them to inscribe the name of Aaron. It was an indication of the choice of God. Yet, he wanted to give them a live object lesson as a permanent sign against their rebellion. These 12 rods were to be left overnight in the presence of the Lord. The next morning, Moses went into the tabernacle to see Aaron's rod full of buds, blossoms, and even ripe almonds. No natural process could have produced this result overnight. God said to Moses, "Put back the staff of Aaron before the testimony, to be kept as a sign for the rebels, that you may make an end of their grumblings against me, lest they die." So this miracle was a sign for the rebels who questioned God's authority. The staff of Aaron was placed within the holy place as a sign for those who questioned Aaron's appointment as the only one authorized by God to approach the ark of the testimony. In the time of Jesus, The scribes and Pharisees also demanded a sign. Matthew 12, beginning from verse 39. But he answered them, an evil and adulterous generation seek for a sign. But no sign will be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For just as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. There is only one sign for the unbelieving of all ages. It is a sign of resurrection from the dead. When it is appointed for all man once to die and then judgment, Jesus Christ, the Son of Man, rose from the dead to be the Lord of all. The resurrection of the dead staff was God's confirmation of the Aaronic priesthood. The Hebrews writer in Hebrews chapter 5 verse 4, he says, and no one takes this honor for himself, but only when called by God, just as Aaron was. In verse 5, he goes on to say, so also Christ did not exalt himself to be made a high priest, but was appointed by him who said to him, you are my son, today I have begotten you. As he says also in another place, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So just like Aaron's budded rod, resurrection confirmed the fact that Jesus was indeed chosen to truly represent all of mankind before God permanently. Hebrews 9:24, for Christ has entered not into holy places made with hands, which are copies of the true things, but into heaven himself, now to appear in the presence of God on our behalf. These dead rods also represent our natural thoughts and inclinations. In our daily walk with the Lord, it is good to leave our thoughts in His presence and adopt only that which He shows to be His. We need to subject our thoughts to the obedience of Christ, as Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but have divine power to destroy strongholds. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God and take every thought captive to obey Christ. We can try to bring some fruit out of our own thoughts and plans, but it would be as if Aaron planted his rod in the ground, watering it and nourishing it. Such fruit, if any, would be of the flesh. It may produce some fruit, but it would be a fruit of our own. Any plan or project that is of the self will fail, for it lacks the Lord's life and power. We need to wait for the Lord to vindicate His choice. Once He has chosen a staff, He doesn't take the natural time to bud, blossom, and bring forth fruit. He can do it overnight, as in the case of Aaron's rod. We see an example of this in the life of Joseph. Naturally, it would take a lifetime of effort and the right connections to rise to the second in command of a country. But it took only a dream and its interpretation to elevate a chosen man. We also see the difference between man's choice and God's choice when Samuel set out to seek for a king in Jesse's house. Jesse obviously did not consider David important enough to participate at the feast. But God looked at it differently. We have a natural tendency to promote our pet ideas and projects so that it may blossom and give fruit. But we are children of the resurrection in Christ Jesus. We must acknowledge Him as our high priest and let Him bring forth in us the true and lasting fruit that God recognizes and desires. Rebellion brings death. It is God's mercy that provides such a great and unmistakable sign as a resurrection for all of us who are naturally rebellious. The resurrection of Christ is our constant reminder that it is good for us to submit to Him, whom God has chosen, and subdue the rebellion of our flesh against God's plan. Then rather than grumbling like the rebels, we can rejoice in the kingship and wait eagerly for His will to be revealed and carry it out with joyful willingness. God bless.